Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Scaling Expertise Podcast. Thank you for joining me while I talk to another expert who has scaled her expertise while she also helps you scale your expertise. It's going to be a really great conversation. Please welcome Cheryl Texera, who is the founder of the Soo Advantage and is a business and marketing specialist. Thank you for joining me, Cheryl.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're going to have a great conversation. I mean, you are the scaling person, put it that way. And so
Mhm.
it's going to be a great conversation, great information for the audience. Before we dive into the substance, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us who you serve and how you serve them.
Yeah, so I'm Cheryl Texera, of course, and I am the founder of the Soo Advantage. It is a program that combines strategy, operations, and optimization into one program so that you have all the pieces that you need in order to get your mind and your work focused on specific areas and outline a strategy and the operations of it, and then how you will optimize with using data. So that's really how I serve them.
Mhm.
And then who I serve ranges from any business from a startup all the way up to businesses bringing in around $2 million in revenue. So I help those particular business owners get to the next level and then the next and the next through
Mhm.
optimization processes.
What pains or what's going on in their business that they go, I need to go talk to Cheryl?
So usually what happens is they have a plateau of some sort and they aren't sure how to get that, or they've had a slump. So even a business that maybe is, let's say, making $1 million a year, all of a sudden they have a big slump. And it could have been something that they changed or something that, maybe the market changed, something like that. And so what we do then is help them dig in to the details of what is actually going on and help them position their business as a place where people would feel like a fool if they don't buy from them. So that is really the core of our whole system, is getting what we call a market dominating position and a bold promise for your offer. Once we have those things in place, then all the other stuff is much easier and people respond better. I often have clients who, before they even implement any assets, like create any assets for their business, just what comes out of their mouth now after doing these exercises to get their market dominating position, they start getting more clients like right away. In fact, I just got a report from a client I've been working with for 3 weeks, and she was making $2,500 a month on a specific product that she
Mhm.
sells. Her first week she made 4,800 and the next week 6,800.
Wow.
So she was only making 2,500
Yeah.
before. So it was a massive change, and we really have only implemented simply using the new language in her social media and when she goes live and stuff.
That's amazing. Amazing fast
It's
results.
amazing.
That's fantastic. So tell us the story of how you got to where you are today. Did you start out as a strategist or have you evolved over the years?
I actually had a 25-year career in IT. I
Mhm.
started as an application developer
Oh,
and then worked my way up and became a manager in operations. And so we were building software systems for government systems. We had project management offices, but it wasn't until later. And so I already had my certifications in project management and in the framework of Scrum, which is an agile project management framework. The idea is with project management is you go from idea all the way to production. So I got really good at extracting requirements from people and really getting that information of what they really want and desire out of their heads and onto paper in something that makes sense to them. That's where I believe I really excel in helping people create their marketing positioning. And then in that process, I started my business like 2 years before I retired. And I started just teaching business owners how to use the framework of Scrum to
mhm,
stay out of overwhelm. And
mhm.
then as I learned more and more about marketing, and then how my project management skills was really helping, because one of the skills that you have to have is organizational change management. People resist change, right? And so we had, basically, that's marketing. You have to market to them to get them to buy in to the new system
Ah,
coming.
mhm.
And so I really learned a lot about how to do that in those projects. And my projects were big. They were multi-million-dollar projects. So, I wasn't afraid of tackling something big like that.
Mhm.
And so I started teaching that, and then I've just slowly evolved as I've learned more and more about marketing. And then I really dove in about a year and a half ago into this new system called the Profit Acceleration System. It's a proprietary software that we use that helps us identify all these different areas. We have actually 40 different areas that we can evaluate and look at and tweak. And we go off of the concept of compounding growth. So we just tweak little areas like 5%, 10%, 2%, 1%, and it all compounds on each other and adds up to creating some real significant boosts, which is one of the reasons why our clients have such good success so quickly, because it just all starts compounding on each other.
That's amazing. Well, you did foreshadow that, as an app developer, that you would have the accelerator, which I'm eager to dive into a little bit later. But I'm stuck on something you said, which was 2 years before you retired. What do you mean by 2 years before you retired?
Yeah, I was working for state government, so
Oh, got it. Okay.
25 years, and then my business was starting to take off, so I bought out my last 5 years and I retired.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about scaling for a minute here. So what is your definition of scale? How do you look at it?
To me, it's maximizing profit, right? It doesn't matter how many employees you have or any of that. You can have just yourself and scale to maximize your profits. It really depends on how efficient your systems are, and then how much you're willing to do for your company, as opposed to having other people do for you. But that's what we work on, is maximizing profit, because the profit is what feeds your family, right? So imagine if you have a company that's generating $1 million a year or something like that, there's probably a lot of expenses that over time you're spending money on things that you don't need to spend money on. So one of the things that we do is we try to cut 5% out of our business owner clients' spending, because that 5% goes
5%.
immediately to profit. Oftentimes we can find our fees just by doing those cuts. So we definitely look over that as one of our first things that we do, and then we move into the market dominating position.
Yeah, I think people undervalue what we can get from optimizing our operations. I mean, obviously there's a lot of focus on pricing. Obviously there's a lot of focus on volume and all, but making sure that we are being as efficient as we can with how we deliver, again, whether we're a solopreneur or we have a team, can make a really big difference. And I think that operations, especially for the solopreneur or, small, they think it's a big company thing. Guilty, and even though I get it, but I'm like, okay, here's my tech stack. This is what we have, our SOPs and stuff. But I don't think about how much it could move the needle. I think about how it can make my life easier, but I don't think about it from a profit perspective so much, which I feel like, yeah.
Well, and the thing is that when you free up your time by being more efficient, then you have more time to be the visionary of your business, right? And when you get caught in the day-to-day and you're just in that grind all the time, you forget to be the visionary and you lose sight of where you're going. And that's what happens to a lot of solopreneurs. And then they're off on this tangent and this tangent and this tangent. They lose focus. So it's really important to do those operations. And it really starts with a good, strategic plan. And then making sure that your projects that you're working on are aligned with that strategic plan and the goals of that strategic plan, and that you're implementing each one of those projects instead of, okay, great, I did a strategic plan, now I'm off to other things and I'm not going to do that. It's just something I filed away and I'm not really looking,
Yes.
to do that. You want to make sure that you're staying focused on that. And it isn't just for big companies, because if you are a true visionary, you could scale your business to multi-millions of dollars, and it could become something that you could sell eventually. And so you definitely want to have your operations in place with standard operating procedures and policies, that sort of thing, because one, it increases the value of your business when you have those things. And two, if you ever do need to, like if you scale too quick, you want to have operating procedures in place so that you can delegate quickly and get people up to speed quickly. I know that can be a growing pain for a lot of businesses that suddenly are an overnight success, after 5 years or something of struggle, then they're boom, they go, and now they can't keep up with the operations. And so they downscale again because it scares them. So by
Oh,
creating some
interesting.
standard operating procedures and
Mhm.
then even roles and responsibilities, because
Mhm.
we're all wearing hats, right?
Yes.
And
Mhm.
so all those different hats, that's a role and it has responsibilities. And with those responsibilities has standard operating procedures. Think how much easier it is to hire when you know exactly who you're hiring.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I certainly feel those pains. I mean, we talk about, working on our business instead of in our business, and especially the expert who, building a business on what's inside of their head, like getting it out and getting it operationalized, and it's just all those things. That is easier said than done. People have a really hard time doing that, and they have a hard time imagining that somebody else can be as effective as they can. But that's just weakness in their operations, right? If they can't delegate what's going on up here to other
That's
people.
right. Yes. That's
So when you're helping, I mean, you've certainly covered some of this, but more specifically, do your clients come to you and say, I want to scale? Or how do they start that conversation about how they want to grow?
Well, they usually start with more of their vision, right?
Okay.
Like
Mhm.
they're trying to get to this vision and they're coming upon stumbling blocks or they don't know what to do to get
Mhm.
like, oh, I've made it this far, but I can't figure out how to get to the next level. Well,
Mhm.
when you have the training that I have, I
Mhm.
can easily find all the opportunities. And then my software, the profit acceleration software, helps guide me on where to look, what to look for, and all that. So even if it's a business that I'm not fully familiar with,
Mhm.
I can still dig in because I understand the concepts. It's very much like I have an IT background, right? And so I never coded in WordPress, for example, before I started my own business. I never did any of that. We were coding in Java and .NET and
Right. Mhm.
those languages. But I understand the concepts behind coding. And that's where bringing in a marketing expert who is really trained in these areas can help people because they understand the concepts behind it all and not just the tactical of what to do, but understanding what the goal is and how it all works behind the scenes and what's going on in the psychology of sales really affects change. And
Right.
so that's really what they come to me for is like they've got this vision and they've gotten so far, but they don't know what to do next. And so that's how we help them get over that hump and break through those plateaus.
Thank you for that. And so you bring us to kind of the intersection of a couple of concepts we talk about: scale, intellectual property, and your accelerator. When we talk about your business and how you scaled your business, going from, you tell me, if you started with kind of custom services and have developed processes that then brought you to the accelerator, or how you scaled your business and the role that intellectual property has played in that process.
Yeah, I've created a ton. I went through the gamut. I challenged a lot of how I scale is through challenges. I challenge myself. Like one year, I challenged myself to do a lead magnet every single month for the entire
Wow.
year.
Mm-hmm.
And then measure to see how much of an impact that made.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next, like just recently, I wanted to try some new messaging for my business and with my new program called the Soo Advantage. And so I did a 10K challenge just to see how long and how much work it would take to get to 10K.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we do that, then we're proving something, right? We're proving that our offer converts and that
Mm-hmm.
the language that we're using around that offer is working. And
Mm-hmm.
so then once you have that, then you can start putting the assets in place for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, in my early days, I wasn't doing that. I was just developing the program and then I'd sell it,
Yeah,
right?
there,
But
yes.
I learned and well, because back in the day too, the gurus were saying just sell it before you design it.
That
And I
is
thought,
true. They
how on
were.
earth could I do that?
Like
That
sell
was
it and then, make it as the cut and throw it out there. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but now I do it. And I understand now why you want to do it, because it's not just about, well, you don't want to do all that work before you sell it. It's not that at all. It's because you want to get the feedback
Mm-hmm.
from your people as you're developing it. And there's a lot of different ways you can reward those early clients to keep them engaged and keep helping them through, even if your system is a little clunky at first, because that's what
Mm-hmm.
people worry is, oh, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be It's
Right.
going to be annoying or whatever. And,
Right.
so instead you just help by giving them different incentives, maybe a little extra coaching on the side,
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
offset that so that they can keep making progress and then you can keep developing your offer. But yeah, creating content I've done tons of it, and I have a whole academy along with the Profit Acceleration
Mhm.
Academy that I created, and it's all around productivity, systems, creating systems, efficiency systems, and strategic planning, all of that stuff. That's in a whole separate academy than my new program that is really directed toward maximizing profits.
Now, did you ever face any kind of mindset hurdles about going from customized services to something that, was less customized and more standardized? Or did you feel like, just knowing because of your background, you kind of just knew that you could do that without kind of losing any feeling of quality?
Absolutely. I went through mindset issues. In fact, I have always had mindset issues
Mhm.
around my business. And so one of the ways I solved that is I hired a hypnotherapist.
Oh,
And so
wow.
I highly recommend it. I actually work with hypnotherapists too on a
Mhm.
regular basis to grow their businesses. I absolutely believe in it. It is like the best way to get out of your own way
Mhm.
and start really making a breakthrough. But also my training in IT helped me
Mhm.
because we didn't get to start from baby stuff. I mean, you get hired, you're expected to do very, very complex coding when
Mhm.
you're just a beginner.
Mhm. Right.
And so nowadays with ChatGPT, it'd be so much easier. But back then we didn't have all that.
Yeah.
But
ChatGPT can code?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I mean, I knew AI could do it. I didn't know Chat could do it. I use Chat. That's funny. Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you're stuck and you don't know how to code something, you could ask it,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's
Uh-huh.
amazing where we didn't have that before. But I think that training just helped me learn how to just jump in with both feet and just learn how to learn on the job. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs are afraid of doing that. They think they got to know everything. And really, you just need to learn on the job. And yeah, you're going to mess up sometimes. You're going to have hard knocks. You're going to have all those things, but it's just information. It's not a failure on your part. You're not born with
Right.
this knowledge. You have
Right.
to learn it. To me, it's like if you have a dream and you're a visionary, go for it.
Yeah.
Go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let's dig a little bit more into your accelerator, it's simulator app. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so the Profit Accelerator Simulator I actually have software. So we have a software that's the full complete software, and it has a lot of algorithms in it. So it really does a lot of calculating and ifs and buts and all kinds of stuff in there. So when I do an assessment for a client, then I go through all of these areas. So we have 12 areas that are the foundational pieces of areas, parts of it, which are like, cutting cost, pricing, making sure your pricing's right, market dominating position, like a compelling offer, and then upsells, downsells, additional products, services, even a drip campaign and that sort of thing. So it's got several
Mhm.
of those. And then the other 40, there's a bunch of them. So I won't go into them all, but
Mhm.
there's a whole bunch of them. So what we do then is we go through and methodically, we just ask questions and really dig deep and get into the heart of the business owner of what they truly want. And then we help them, strategize, and it actually helps us prioritize by what it thinks will get the biggest return the quickest so that we know how to prioritize. And then everything is very projectized, very methodical and
Mhm.
linear. We just do this, then we do this, then we do this.
Mhm.
And so the simulator is just a simpler version of it, but it's kind of fun because you can put what your revenue is now and what your profit margins are, your gross profit and your net profit margin. And then you can start seeing like, well, if I increase these areas by 5%, how much extra revenue would I have? How much extra profit would I have? And it's all
Mhm.
there on the application. And so the simulator actually comes with a little training in it and everything. So you have a training video that'll teach you about compounding growth and how that works and how it's so important to look at it that way. Because here's the thing, like I actually worked with a client who I helped them create a maintenance program for their clients. So they're making about $1,000 lifetime value for a client. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's not very much. It's really hard. They got to always be getting new
Right.
clients all the
Mhm.
time. And so then they have feast and famine. It's a real trick, right?
Mhm.
And so we created a maintenance program that was just an additional $600 a year for that client. So it was $49 a month, $50 a month. And they have 100% close rate because they have such good trust with their clients.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, they were already serving 100 clients a year. Now they basically doubled their profit
Right.
just by adding that one little thing.
Yeah.
So that's really what you're paying a good marketer for, is not just that marketing,
Right.
but helping you create lots of revenue streams and then be able to manage those things so it's not such a complicated thing that you can't even handle it. But that was a simple strategic thing that we did. And now they don't have that feast and famine because they have regular income coming in, you know, and the people get 4 sessions a year, right? That. And it eases their expense. They don't have to pay that X amount of dollars every visit. They just do $49 a month, and it's simple, easy for everybody.
Yeah, I love that. You know, evening out their cash flow. Helping people prioritize is so important. I mean, there's so much information. I started a podcast because I was a consumer of podcasts, and I had to like take a break at some point because I was getting so many ideas, great ideas, but from all the different people, I'm like, oh, and there's a lot out there to kind of only have one voice in your head that's helping you prioritize is hugely important. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and even the best of coaches need a coach. You know, it's not like I have a coach. I mean, I have 2 coaches. I have a mindset coach and I have a tactical coach. It's really important for people to have coaching because you can't do it in a silo. You're too critical of yourself, first of all, worried about things, and you get in your own way. And a coach can really help you get out of your way.
That is so important. Well, that might actually answer my last question, which was, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to people who are stuck and looking to reach the next level? And investing in other people is super important.
Yeah, I definitely believe getting a coach. I mean, that is my advice, is get a coach and make sure you're getting the right coach, you know, because a lot of times you'll have coaches that focus on one specific thing, like maybe building a automated webinar funnel. That's great if you're wanting to build an automated webinar funnel.
Right.
But if you're not, and all of a sudden they're like, well, yeah, we're going to help you build this automated webinar funnel. And you're like, well, I hadn't even thought about that, but okay.
Right.
You know, then you might end up down a rabbit hole that you didn't intend to go to. So definitely make sure you're understanding what it is that you're building. In fact, I had a prospect ask me, so what system are we building? You know, because mine is much more comprehensive.
Right.
It isn't real specific. It's more of a comprehensive look at your whole entire business so that we can look at all of the pieces, help you get inefficiencies out, help you maximize your profit, even cutting costs, that kind of stuff. So it really depends on what type of thing you're looking for. That's the type of coach you should have. And then definitely, if you are having mindset issues, get a performance coach, a neuro performance coach, or a hypnotherapist who focuses on that for entrepreneurs, because it really is a game changer and can make all the difference, like night and day in your business.
That's interesting because I don't know much about that. And I will pick your brain later about who maybe we'll have someone on to talk about that, because mindset comes up. I mean, I will say that my podcast is focused mostly to women entrepreneurs. And I do think we talk about mindset a little bit more than a general audience. And everyone I talk to says it's a really important part of the work that they do and the progress that they've made. And so I think I want to dig into that more. It's not a typically legal topic. There's not, but I think it's really important in scaling, especially there's something really personal about it being your expertise that you are scaling. It's not just you, but it is you. It's personal, right? You're a little bit more vulnerable putting yourself out there. So
exactly.
Okay. I don't know what number this is, but that it keeps coming up. So it means I got to go pursue this a little bit more.
Yeah, you got to check it out.
For bringing this up. So thank you so much, Cheryl. So where can people find you? I know I have the link to your app that will be in the show notes, but people want to connect with you, find out more about you, tell them where to find you, please.
Yeah, actually, the best places probably to find me are LinkedIn, Cheryl Texera on LinkedIn. And I'm also on Alignable, so we could maybe meet in a networking or something like that. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes, and I have actually my Instagram and my Facebook and my YouTube channel are all called Go Cheryl T. So
Okay.
you can find it at Go Cheryl T, and my website is cherylt.com. And then I have a podcast called the Soo Advantage
Ah,
on YouTube Music, so you can find me there as well.
wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Cheryl. This has been a great conversation, and we'll make sure we have all your information in the show notes as well. Thanks again.
Thank you.